Good evening. I took an indoor cycling class from tonight's honoree a few years ago. It was the most carefully choreographed ride I've ever experienced, complete with a handlebar video of an actual ride in Central America and songs that were selected to match each stage of the terrain. And I teach spin too, and I know what it takes just to put together a basic playlist and some cues. This was a whole other level. And we're talking about something that he was doing as a passion on the side. When I tell you who this is and everything else he's accomplished, I think you'll ask the same question I did, which was, where did he possibly find the time? The man has founded and run multiple highly successful businesses across an impossible array of industries. He lends his time, money, and expertise to a wide variety of community causes and initiatives. He mentors employees and fellow entrepreneurs. He's a successful investor and an accomplished gardener. But where did he find the time is actually the wrong question. The right question, especially tonight, is what sort of person does all those things and does them so well and is probably really uncomfortable right now because we're talking about him and he doesn't like the spotlight. I'm going to try to answer that in the next few minutes, and then I'll tell you his name. My name is Silas Lyons, and I'm the executive editor of the Record Searchlight, and it is our honor to once again join with the Chamber of Commerce in presenting the Citizen of the Year Award on behalf of the selection committee. That committee, as you may know, is composed exclusively of past winners of this award, and while Jake and I offer assistance, we do not have a vote. Those who have earned this award know best who should join them each year, and they've made another excellent selection. So, on with it. Tonight's honoree was not born or raised with money, but as a young man in Yuba City, he started in business by flavoring toothpicks with cinnamon and selling them to his classmates. His grandfather, who was so well respected that the community named a Little League park after him, was an early and lifelong influence. He came to Reading at age 19 as an intern for Reading Radiology. Within 5 years, he had founded his own X-ray service and sales business, and a year later founded a second business. Then he started 3 more healthcare-related businesses, handling courier service, transcription, and records. Then he developed subdivisions in East Reading. Through the 1980s, as his businesses grew, he worked up to 110 hours a week. Years later, when a Record Searchlight reporter in 2005 asked him about his 12-hour workdays, he called them, quote, a vacation. In 1994, he bought the imaging company Shasta Diagnostics from a group of local physicians. 2 years later, he merged it with the company that first brought him to Reading, Reading Radiology. The resulting company became MD Imaging, where he remains CEO, working with 15 co-owning radiologists. MD, along with Women's Imaging Center and Vascular and Interventional Center, employ some 120 people and serve about 500 patients a day. But teaching indoor cycling is not his only side venture. He developed the West Venture building beside SRMC, where Caltrans is now located. He owns its coffee shop, Cafe Pagado. He was a founding director of Cornerstone Bank and is a member of the local venture investment group Shasta Angels. Through a connection made while investing in an athletic software startup, he ended up involved in representing 2020 Grand Champion American Ninja Warrior Daniel Gill. He has invented a secret soil mixture for tomatoes and grew 1,600 pounds of them in a single season. But those of you who are familiar with this award know that it is not given primarily for accomplishments in business. Honorees are selected for the character they show and for the impact they have on the betterment of our community. Tonight's honoree has a long history of giving back. He is a humble and soft-spoken man who loves his work with people. He will tell you that his employees are responsible for the successes he's had, and that's almost certainly true. But we all know that leadership sets the tone and that people work best when they're supported from the top. He goes about things quietly. His son Todd told me he often hears of his dad's accomplishments roundabout from other people, that he's bought a new business, for example. He just doesn't talk about it. I asked one of his longtime spin class regulars, Donna Nelson, about him recently. Quote, "He cares about people, and he tries to really help them all the time," she told me. "He's just a very caring person." In 1996, he joined with cancer care consultants and the local chapter of the American Cancer Society to create the annual Think Pink October Breast Cancer Awareness Campaign. Some other highlights of his volunteerism in the community include being vice chair of the Board of Trustees of Mercy Foundation North. He'll become the chair in June. Past member of the Reading Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, member of the Shasta Community Health Center Fundraising Board and Capital Campaign Committee. He's been involved with the Salvation Army's Red Kettle Fund Drive, member of the YMCA's Pedal for a Purpose Committee, member of the Simpson University Advisory Board, the Shasta Economic Development Corporation Board, and he's a sustaining contributor to the Good News Rescue Mission, Friends of the Empire, which is Empire Recovery Center, One Safe Place, and the Reading Fashion Alliance. Maggie Redmond, the president of Mercy Foundation North, knows firsthand from working with him, quote, "He's passionate and committed to the health and well-being of the community, and he's demonstrated that over many years of active involvement," she said. "If he's joining, he's committed." And if you ask around, you'll start hearing little stories about small acts of kindness done without any fanfare that show the consistency of his character. He's a helper, is what Todd told me. That's just who he is and how he's built. I have one final story for you that illustrates this, as well as another characteristic. He's a problem solver. Remember, back at the start of the pandemic when healthcare workers needed masks, but nobody could lay their hands on them? Dignity Health was in the same boat as everyone else, until someone asked our honoree for help. And like with everything else, he went all in. For about 100 hours, he called. He called and he called. He called every authorized distributor of N95 masks. He called manufacturers. He talked to people who are used to taking orders by the billions. He called domestically. He called abroad. And when he was done, he had secured $1 million worth of masks, 350,000 of them. He made nothing from it, just the sense that he had helped and that he got to solve a problem. Back in 1973, when he was first working in Reading, he told himself it was the community where he wanted to be and where he wanted his kids to grow up. He now has 4 adult children, Todd Davis, Andrea Watkins, Brad Davis, and Steve Davis, and 9 grandchildren. He and his wife, Terry, met in spin class. It is my great honor to introduce to you the 2021 Citizen of the Year. Please join me in welcoming to the stage and congratulating Mike Davis.